Hi, MBA Capstone students. Welcome to my once and done recorded webinar for Task 1. This is my guarantee. If you will listen to this webinar and follow the suggested recommendations, your Task 1 will pass on the first submission. But first things first, the reason for creating this webinar is because there is a high resubmission rate for Task 1. There are students that pass the task on the first submission, and then there are other students. 55% are in the other category, not passing task 1 for simple mistakes. So my goal and the purpose of this webinar is to make sure that you stay out of other. Task 1 is a reflective task. You will reflect upon your strengths and weaknesses as a team member and upon the strengths and weaknesses of your team as a whole. The peer evaluation report, which you completed during Task 1, is the basis upon which you will start the task. So you want to make sure you use the peer evaluation report, that you use the Capstone team member guide, that you are objective when you are responding to the task prompts and not defensive. So this is how a typical peer evaluation report looks. As you can clearly see, there are 10 items. There's a summary and an overall score. The peer evaluation report must be used as the basis of your discussion for your personal strength and weakness. There are 10 items in the peer evaluation report. Select your highest ranked item and discuss how that strength can be used to benefit the workplace. In this example, this individual highest rate items were 4 at 3.7 and 6 at 3.7. So that individual could discuss either item 4, willingness to cooperate, or item 6, attendance at group meetings. Select your lowest ranked item and discuss how you can improve that weakness in the workplace. Again, going back to this example, this individual's lowest ranked item was item 8, leadership. So you'll discuss how to improve upon that weakness in the workplace. Do not use the task to try to explain why your peers ranked you that way. Understand that this is merely a perception, but their perception is their reality. So your goal in the task is assume that you are giving off this perception for some reason, explain how you can improve upon that. If you ranked all 5, which is the highest score that you can get in each category, you still must use the peer evaluation report. Pick one item to discuss as your strength from the peer evaluation report and one item to discuss as your weakness. The benefit is if you ranked all 5s, you get to choose which items to discuss. Your team role, you should be discussing your primary functional role on the team. That's R&D, marketing, production, or finance. It is not necessary to discuss the CEO role. You want to discuss your role in terms of the role's key responsibilities. These key responsibilities or duties are outlined in the Capstone Team Member Guide. If you quote or paraphrase information from the Team Member Guide, you must cite and reference that material, right? Right. So you are part of a team, and every team goes through stages. Forming, and that's me putting the team together, or someone member of my team putting the team together. Storming, getting to know each other and how you're going to work. Norming, settling in, and then performing. And then finally, when your task is accomplished, adjourning or disbanding the team. The next part of task 1 is really based upon these team stages, because your team is no exception from any other team. They go through these stages. So whether your team was superior or awful, you'll need to discuss its strengths with an S, weaknesses with an S, and its challenges. You need to discuss at least 2 of each and provide a detailed discussion. A strength is obvious, and you'll find 2 of those to say what the strength is, explain why it was a strength. That's where the discussion details come in. A weakness may be an area in which the team was awful, or could be an area in which the team was okay but not great, or the team was good in that area but not excellent. The point is, a weakness does not have to be a bad thing, it's just an area where the team has some room for improvement. And many high performing teams fail in this aspect. Because their results were so superior, they just don't say that there was any areas where the team could have been better. Don't make that mistake. So don't let those superior results influence you to be less than objective. And so this assessment of your team's strengths and weaknesses is no different than a performance review that you might get in the workplace. You might think you walk on water, but your boss always finds that one area where she or he thinks you could have did a little better. Okay? So take it that way. Students also struggle with finding and describing at least two challenges. A challenge need not be a huge barrier. So just keep that in mind. But when you are going through the forming and storming stage, there are challenges. So just find to describe why they were a challenge and how the team met that challenge. Then you are asked to discuss your team interactions. How did you personally interact with the team? Was it effective? Could the interactions have been more effective? And whether it was effective or ineffective, it could be a result of how you personally interacted. It could be as a result of the communication vehicles your team used. But make sure you have detailed discussion there. Okay? And then next you're asked to provide advice. Based upon your experience in the simulation, what advice would you give students on future teams? Provide sufficient detail to support your advice. When all is said and done, the simulation is really about teamwork. It wasn't about trying to make you into production or manufacturing experts. So what is the relevance of teamwork to your professional development? The big elephants in the room in terms of failures for Task 1 are articulation and the team contract. Articulation matters. It matters throughout the task, both in Task 1 and in the team contract. So pay attention to your grammar, punctuation, your paragraph, providing sufficient discussion and detail. The points of failure in the contract are as follows: insufficient explanations or discussions. The team strategy is not discussed and or properly cited and referenced. There are 6 strategies described in the CAPS and Team Member Guide. If the strategy is not discussed, the contract will fail. If the strategy is discussed, but you paraphrase or quote it from the CAPS and Team Member Guide, but fail to provide a proper citation and reference, then your task will fail under sources. Decision making. Often teams only discuss one decision-making strategy. And the question that comes up is, what is Plan B? A team does not always reach consensus. And if you are on an even number team, 4 members, full team, a tie vote is possible. So a majority vote is not always a solution. So you need a primary method and you need a Plan B, a backup. And then under conflict resolution strategies, do not confuse a conflict resolution strategy with a decision-making strategy. Those are 2 different beasts. So make sure that you address that aspect appropriately. And if you are referencing, citing, paraphrasing some conflict resolution strategies from a source, make sure you include the proper in-text citation and reference. So my final question is this: are you coming to my once and done party? Are you going to keep your task submission out of other? Thank you for listening.